Now, I'm pleased to present today's camp counselor, Senior Business Development Associate Luke Vandermillen Jr., to walk us through today's webinar, Financial Wellness Field Day. Luke?
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, David, for that very kind introduction, and hope everyone's doing well today on this lovely Wednesday here. Excited for another installment of the RPAG Summer Camp, where we take a look at various aspects of RPAG and make sure that you as our lovely members are aware of all of the great resources that you have available to you. So if you joined us last week, we talked a little bit about fee benchmarking, fee analysis, how to determine fee reasonableness, and some of the resources that are provided through RPAG. This week, we're going to be transitioning to something a little bit more of a broader topic, and that'll be financial wellness. That's our financial wellness field day, as we like to call it. So what we'll be talking about a little bit today is how you as the advisor can make sure that you're directly impacting the individual participants of your 401k clients. Okay, so we'll be talking about a variety of resources within our PAG today. But just as a quick overview here of what we're going to be talking about, I'm going to start off a little bit about why financial wellness is important, kind of why is it at the forefront of our industry right now. We're going to talk a little bit about RPAG's proprietary financial wellness program called WellSense. We're also going to take a look at some of the aspects of WellSense, breaking it down into the turnkey marketing collateral that's available through the program, the employee assessment and scheduling technology that's available, and then lastly, the employer aggregate reporting that's going to show up and help you drive that point home with all your plan sponsor clients. And then, as always, we're going to end with a little Q&A. Even though we're going to be ending with a Q&A, feel free to enter any questions that you have in the Q&A feature down below here at Zoom, or feel free to shoot us a chat message. I'll try to keep an eye on this as we go through here and answer questions periodically. So feel free to answer questions as we go along here, and then we'll make sure we get everything covered at the end of our presentation today. But without much further ado here, let's go ahead and get started about kind of the why behind financial wellness. So financial wellness has turned into a little bit of a catch-all term within our industry. And what I mean by that is that financial wellness can mean a lot of different things. I've been working really closely with different financial wellness platforms for a few years now. And if there's one thing that I've learned through my experiences with several different platforms and deliverables that are available throughout the industry, is that financial wellness usually doesn't mean the same thing to two different people. So hopefully today we can nail down a little bit on what we're talking about when we say financial wellness, and also why is it important. So the first thing I wanted to pull up here was a news article that I saw going back about 3 or 4 weeks now in Bloomberg. Pulled it up here. I think a lot of you might have seen this. This made its rounds on the different news platforms. But the article here talks about how 1/3 of Americans that net over $250,000 in personal income are living paycheck to paycheck. Now, I don't claim to be a financial industry expert. I typically only scan websites like Bloomberg for topics that jump out at me. And when I tell you this jumped out at me, that's an understatement. Seeing this, $250,000 a year in personal income is extraordinary. I mean, I think everyone on this call right now would be very okay with making $250,000 a year. The really interesting part, obviously, is the fact that even though we have Americans making that much personal income, a lot of them, over 1/3 of them, are living paycheck to paycheck. And so this really points to not necessarily an issue with the financial institution, the financial industry as a whole. It really points to an issue with financial behavior from employees and participants throughout America. I mean, $250,000 should be more than enough for most individuals and families to live off. So for individuals that find themselves in that situation of living paycheck to paycheck with that much income, it truly points to the fact that there's going to be problems with financial behaviors, what employees are actually doing with their money. You could point to several different factors that might contribute to this. You might say that it's because of our education system that individuals aren't getting the kind of fiscal education that they need as they go through their scholastic career. You can point to inflation. You can point to a lot of different things that might contribute to this. But at the end of the day, what we really feel is the issue here is going to be the lack of financial and fiscal education that employees are receiving in the marketplace right now. And a lot of people don't know what to do with their paycheck on a biweekly basis. And so when we talk about financial wellness, I specifically think about solving a problem like we see here, where people are making enough money, they just don't know how to correctly use it. So when I saw this article, I took a dive into, what experts around our industry are saying. There's a lot of really smart people that make up the financial services industry. And so I knew that there would be something out there, some sort of solutions out there to point to, why this sad state of personal finance exists in our country. And what I came across here was a fantastic study that was done by our friends over at T. Rowe Price. It was a study that was done just published last month, June 2022. And it was a study authored by Joshua Deach, who's the head of retirement thought leadership over there at T. Rowe Price. And essentially what they did, this study that they do is an annual study of both current retirees in America, as well as active participants within 401k plans. So to create this study, T. Rowe Price surveyed almost 4,000 active participants of 401k plans and almost 1,400 retirees to get some insights on what kind of financial stress is impacting financial wellness. What are the things that employees are currently struggling with, and how can we as financial advisors and financial professionals help? So I'll make sure to send this in the attachment of the follow-up email. I'll send this whole study. It's a phenomenal piece, and you can see if you squint your eyes a little bit down at the very bottom here, I have a link to the actual study that you can use. I will send out these PowerPoint slides to all the attendees after our session today. So I highly encourage you to take a look at the study. It's only a few pages long, but it's chock full of great information. And a couple of their key insights really stood out to me. The first one there, debt, particularly unsecured debt, highly correlates with financial stress. That makes a lot of sense to me. I think about a lot of the people that I know that are currently in the workplace that are typically dealing with one of three kinds of debt: consumer debt, student loans, or some sort of mortgage. And so it makes sense that employees are stressed out about meeting their debt obligations. And so a large portion of an employee's earnings are going towards satisfying their debt obligations. And then lastly, one of the findings through this T. Rowe Price study here was that financial wellness programs can help reduce financial stress, and it directly correlates with better participant retirement outcomes and greater savings. At the end of the day, all of us being in the retirement services industry, that's what we're going for, is better participant retirement outcomes. The goal of all of our jobs, whether you're an advisor, you work in operations, you work in marketing, is guiding Americans to a successful and prosperous retirement. And so through this study, T. Rowe Price has concluded that yes, you should be using a financial wellness program if that's in fact your goal. So a couple other things that I saw in this study that really stood out to me. One was that 1/3 of Americans are having trouble sticking to their monthly budget. Okay, that's, again, not the most surprising thing in the world. Budgeting is inherently a hard thing to do, and a lot of people can't do it on their own. A lot of folks need help from, say, a financial professional to create a budget that not only works for their income level, but also allows them to save properly, invest properly, and also live properly. So 33% of Americans have struggled sticking to a monthly budget. Over 1/3 of individuals have student loan debt, again, which is something that we all know is very prevalent within the country. So, I know several people with over $100,000 of student loan debt that they'll be paying off over the next 10 to 15 years. So even folks who are young, new in the workforce, large amount of debts are still had and still need to be addressed. But here's the one that really jumped out to me. Was the third one here, the lack of savings, where we're looking at 1/4 of retirement participants believe that they will have to reduce their standard of living in retirement, reduce their standard living of retirement. When I think of Americans retiring successfully, I don't think about them living a lower standard of life than they're currently living now. The whole idea of the retirement industry is to guide Americans to a retirement where they can continue the standard of living that they've become accustomed to as they work. And so what this statistic points to me is a true problem with employee education throughout America. And I strongly believe that it's our job as financial professionals to step in and help employees any way that we can with eliminating this statistics. I mean, 25% of people feel that they're going to have to reduce their standard of living in retirement. I just don't think that's right. And so financial wellness becoming more and more prevalent is starting to make a lot of sense to me. Because we have all these statistics around what employees need in the country right now. And quite frankly, we as financial professionals have a lot of the answers and can provide a great level of service to the employees of America. And so financial wellness being big in our industry is less and less surprising to me as I combed through this study from T. Rowe Price. And then lastly, I thought this was a little bit interesting. A lot of times when we talk about financial wellness, we tend to zero in on the employees and start to forget plan level details that can help impact financial wellness. So T. Rowe Price had a couple of suggestions for plan design features that you can implement to help impact employees' financial stress, things like auto enroll and auto escalation. We have things like QDIA, auto enroll to help re-engage or engage workers who aren't in the plan currently. And then lastly, this has been the one that I think is really interesting, is we're seeing a large surge in the amount of solutions in the industry right now that strictly involve either matching student loan repayments or creating emergency savings funds. That seems to be the two big buckets that participants fall into when they talk about being stressed out financially. Either they can't make their student loan or mortgage payments, or they can make those payments, however, they're not able to save any money. And so that's all going to contribute to the fact that, again, 1/4 of Americans feel like they're going to have to reduce their standard of living in retirement. So again, I just wanted to give a couple quick hitters about that T. Rowe Price study that I read. I thought it was incredibly interesting. And again, I'll be sending it out in attachment with our email. It's a fantastic piece that's a really quick and easy read. But let's move on here into RPAG's proprietary financial wellness program called WellSense. If you hear folks around here at RPAG talk about WellSense, a lot of times we'll refer to it as the advisor's financial wellness program, because we built WellSense with the advisor in mind. And again, in my opinion, from what I've seen in the financial wellness marketplace right now, WellSense is truly the only financial wellness offering that's out there that is truly built around adding value to an advisor's service model. So let's talk a little bit about current financial wellness platforms and why they may or may not work. So we've already covered that financial stress is bad for employees. It's distracting and it negatively impacts productivity and bottom line. So the reason I bring this up is because when you as an advisor might be talking to a prospect or a client about financial wellness, a lot of times employers might need convincing on why they need to care about their employees' financial stress. And so we have tons of different statistics and materials that we can provide you that show different statistics related to financial stress and how it impacts profits and productivity for employers. So financial stress is bad. That's what we've established here. Let's talk a little bit about the existing financial wellness programs you're going to see out there in the marketplace right now. First off, a lot of them are self-service, right? It's going to be basically giving an employee a login to a platform and say, hey, have at it, do whatever you want to do in here. But there's no sort of guidance, there's no sort of training, there's no sort of customer support for the programs. It ends up being very reactive in nature. It's not proactive. Essentially, it turns into very much a check the box activity where you're just offering something in terms of financial wellness. When you're being reactive and relying on a self-service model, you're going to see low participant utilization. You're typically going to see anywhere from 5% engagement to lower, according to the studies that we've done. You're also going to see a lot of financial wellness platforms are going to focus on retirement planning, right? Financial wellness is not just concerning employees' retirement. It also looks at personal finance behaviors, investment information, insurance coverage. There's a lot of different components that make up financial wellness. And so looking just through that narrow lens of retirement planning is foolish and isn't the most impactful thing that we can do for employees. A big one here that we see a lot here at RPAG is that the service provider of these financial wellness platforms are not going to be independent or objective. So a lot of times these platforms are put up by service providers to push certain proprietary products. And so one of the things that you're going to see about WellSense is that it's completely agnostic of any sort of product pushing. So it is truly in the employee's best interest and truly is working for that employee to make sure that they can satisfy their financial wellness needs in the most effective way possible. At the end of the day, when you take all these considerations into play, these financial wellness programs just don't move the needle for the employees of America. So we took here at RPAG these problems that we saw with financial wellness, and we built WellSense to specifically address some of these problems. So if you haven't seen a demo of WellSense yet, feel free to reach out to me after this call. I'd love to take any of you through a one-on-one demo of WellSense and talk a little bit about how it can fit into your current financial wellness offering and how you can incorporate it into your practice. But we'll be touching on a few of these things in greater detail, but a couple things to know about WellSense. It's advisor driven, it's proactive in nature, it's personalized. So all of the advice that you're going to be giving to employees is going to be personalized based on personal information that you get from the employee. The intuitive scheduling technology allows for employees to easily schedule a one-on-one meeting with an advisor. The technology also allows both the employee and the advisor to track the success and progress of an employee going through WellSense. And lastly, it's ongoing. So not only is it something that you can roll out as a one-time financial wellness program, but ongoing, you can roll it out annually, biannually, whatever's going to work best for the employees of your particular client. WellSense can fit that. So one of the first questions I get asked about WellSense is, what is it? What does it entail? And since I'm personally a visual person, I like looking at this illustration a lot to talk a little bit about the WellSense process. So essentially with WellSense, what the program entails here, starting at high noon up here, is employee outreach materials. So we have a whole library of turnkey marketing collateral available for you as advisors to send out to employees of your 401k clients to help promote WellSense and help get employees engaged with the program. So again, just like other materials we make available through the RPAG Resource Center, Everything's going to be white labeled and able to download with just a click of a button. Next, we have our financial wellness assessment. So before an employee can schedule a one-on-one meeting with an advisor from your firm, they're going to be required to answer about 16 multiple choice financial wellness questions that are fed directly to you as the advisor to help make sure that your one-on-one meeting is efficient and as successful as possible. We'll take a look at the assessment momentarily, but the assessment is going to cover all of the important pieces of financial wellness that you as the advisor are going to need to help prescribe education and next steps for the employee to help improve their financial wellness situation. Once the employee has taken their financial wellness assessment, they'll be taken to a place where they can schedule a one-on-one meeting with someone from your firm. Through the meeting and through the advisor interface with WellSense, you as the advisor can assign an action plan to an employee based on your conversation. So again, prescribing customized action plans to help specific employees meet their goals. We have an employer reporting, kind of an aggregate employer reporting feature where if you surveyed a number of employees, you can actually aggregate all of those assessments into a report that you as the advisor can deliver to plan sponsors to show your value and show the success of the financial wellness rollout. And then lastly, you can use the insights that you've gained through WellSense to influence group session content. We also provide education decks and other white labeled materials as well for you so that you have all the arrows in your quiver necessary to deliver on each of these 6 points here. So a quick look here. This is an example of one of the promotional materials. We have email campaigns, hard copy materials that are available. So we are strong believers in every employer is going to be different, and therefore getting high engagement with each individual employer is going to take probably a slightly different action plan for each employer. And so again, we have promotional materials in all shapes and sizes, whether it's email, social media, video content, one-pagers, posters, you name it, we have it. So tons of promotional materials to ensure that employees are going to engage with the program. And then through those promotional materials, employees are going to be directed to either the WellSense website or the WellSense mobile app, where they can create an account, take the assessment, and schedule a meeting with someone from your firm. After the employee has taken the financial wellness assessment that's contained through WellSense, they're going to have this employee dashboard here where they can access a number of different resources related to financial wellness, as well as, like I said earlier, schedule a one-on-one meeting with someone from your firm. So let's zero in a little bit on the turnkey marketing collateral. Like I mentioned, there's no one-size-fits-all solution for getting employees of a certain employer to engage with financial wellness. I think a lot about, the differences between, a financial services office like the one I'm standing in right now. We have about, 200 people in the office who all come in every day, sit at a cubicle, and check their work email. So for an employer like mine, the best way to reach the employees would be doing some sort of email campaign, because I can tell you personally, I don't take more than 2 or 3 steps without checking my Outlook at least one time. And so if someone wanted to get a hold of the employees here at RPAG, I would suggest them do an email campaign. Conversely, you think about the emergency services industry, you have folks that are on the go a lot. They'll be in a centralized location, but in sporadic periods and never all at the same time. And so for an emergency services company, that's where you might want to consider doing something like a hard copy poster to drive engagement. Just a couple quick examples. Again, all this content was professionally created. It's all white labeled and comes in Word document form. So you can make any edits to it that you see fit. And we also have a marketing team here at WellSense that can help you with best practices in rolling out the program. I also mentioned presentation decks that are available through WellSense. So If you're a firm that wants to maybe freshen up some of your participant education material, WellSense includes topics on all of the different things that I have listed to the left. And so really, wherever your employee needs to go in terms of financial wellness, whether it's, maybe someone who's near retirement that wants to talk about retirement income planning, or maybe it's someone in their early 20s that wants to talk, put together a plan to satisfy their student loan debt. There's dozens of different topics that employees might want to cover with a financial professional. And so we give you here at WellSense all of the material needed to have a professional and productive presentation with those employees. So again, everything's available through the RPAG Resource Center with just a click of a button. Like I mentioned earlier, the whole reason that employees are going to go to WellSense and create a profile is because WellSense is marketed as a service that, hey, if you're an employee that wants to have a one-on-one meeting with a financial advisor, go to mywellsense.com, create a profile, and you'll be able to schedule a meeting with your advisor. And so really, when we talk about this employee assessment, we're talking about meeting employees where they're at, meeting them wherever they're at in their financial wellness journey. So with the assessment through WellSense, we break the assessment into 6 different categories. And these categories are intended to give the advisor and the employee a holistic look at this employee's financial wellness state. And then secondly, we also designed this assessment to be easy and quick for the employees to go through. So they're not going to have to go through all the hoops of aggregating accounts and screen scraping and all these complex things that a lot of financial wellness programs are going to do. Really what we want them to do is quickly go through this assessment to talk a little bit about their financial wellness picture. So how old are you? What's your marital status? How many dependents do you have? What's your personal and household income? Over here on the right, you can see the employee is going to be asked to check their top 3 financial priorities based on the priorities that you see here. There's many more here. I just cut off the screenshot here where it is. But again, kind of cluing the advisor in on, okay, hey, why would this employee want to talk with someone from our firm? They want to, establish an emergency fund, evaluate their insurance, and they need help with budgeting. Great. Moving on to kind of the next pieces of the assessment here is the assessment looks at personal finance behaviors, investment planning, retirement readiness, and protection planning. I included some screenshots and examples of the different questions that are offered through the assessment because I think it gives a great illustration on how easy and quick this assessment is for an employee to go through. I keep track of my expenses rarely, sometimes, or always. How much non-mortgage debt do you have? I have a lot of debt and it's getting better. Another option is I have a little bit of debt, it's getting worse, vice versa, and et cetera. It's going to ask what kind of debt they have. And then it's also going to cover, again, investment planning. Have you ever worked with a financial professional? What's your risk tolerance? Retirement readiness. Are you contributing to your 401k plan? Does your company provide a match, et cetera? And then lastly, and this is big for firms that have multiple lines of business, the protection planning section within the assessment allows for the advisor to identify cross-selling opportunities, especially on the insurance side. So an employee is going to be asked, do they have life insurance? Do they have long-term care, long-term disability? Things like that to show if the employee is going to be properly covered with the current insurance that they have. So the employee assessment takes less than 5 minutes for the employee to go to. All of the information that the employee submits through WellSense here is going to be fed directly to you as the advisor. So before an employee even has a chance to schedule a one-on-one meeting with you, you're going to have all of the necessary information to have a productive one-on-one meeting with this employee at your fingertips. Once the employee finishes their assessment, I showed this a second ago, but wanted to give you a kind of a more zoomed in look here. This is the employee dashboard through WellSense, where the employee can, you can see over here, schedule a one-on-one meeting with the advisor, but they also have a couple other resources available to them. See on the right-hand side here, there's a few different calculators that the employees can use: a retirement savings calculator, emergency savings, and a life insurance calculator. And also down below here, under interesting reads, this section of WellSense is actually going to populate with articles that are relevant to this particular employee. So based on the responses that the employee submitted for their assessment here, it's going to populate with different articles that the WellSense system thinks would be helpful to this employee. So, you know, if an individual is having trouble with debt reduction and establishing an emergency fund, they're going to see interesting articles pop up here about establishing an emergency fund. The employee also has access to our larger library of financial literacy materials, where they can browse hundreds of articles on a variety of different topics. So we wanted this employee dashboard to be a perfect marriage between the employee going to you as the advisor to schedule a one-on-one meeting, and also giving the employee some self-starter materials so that if they want to do some self-starting learning, that they can do that through WellSense as well. But once the employee clicks on this little button here to schedule a one-on-one meeting, the employee is going to be taken to a screen like the one that you see here, directly within the WellSense website or app, where the employee can select which advisor they'd like to meet with through WellSense. And then they can pick a day and time to meet with you. So again, everything's done through this one user interface in WellSense. And it also is integrated directly with Zoom, Microsoft Teams, WebEx, things like that, so that if you're offering virtual or remote meetings, when an employee goes in here and selects, hey, I'd like to meet with Luke on Wednesday at 7 a.m., as soon as the employee clicks schedule here in the bottom right-hand corner, both the employee and the advisor are going to receive an email confirmation like the one that you see here, that's going to say, hey, thanks for scheduling a meeting with us on, July 15th at 7:30 a.m. Up in the top left here, it's going to include a calendar invite that the employee can put on their calendar. That's going to include all the Zoom or virtual meeting platform information that they're going to need. So in terms of doing one-on-one education, WellSense automates a large part of the process for you. It automates the information gathering process. So instead of you as an advisor showing up blind to a one-on-one meeting and spending the first 20 minutes of a 30-minute meeting trying to figure out, who is this employee that I'm talking to? What does their current financial wellness situation look like? All of that information is fed to you through WellSense. The employee can schedule a meeting through WellSense, and all you as the advisor need to do is sit back and watch the meetings come in. So you as an advisor also get a similar email that says, hey, John Doe from client ABC has scheduled a WellSense meeting with you on July 15th at 7:30 a.m. And it'll have a link to all that employee's information. One of the huge benefits and one of the large pieces of feedback that we get about WellSense is the fact that it's 100% integrated into the RPAG advisor portal. So through WellSense, what you can actually do is not only pull up plan level information in RPAG, but if you've had an employee take the WellSense assessment, you can actually go into that employee's profile within RPAG. And actually, all the information that you're going to need for the one-on-one meeting is going to be right there for you. So you see, you can pull up the employee's information here within RPAG. You can actually start the remote meeting right from the RPAG advisor portal. And also within that participant profile in RPAG, you're going to see all of the information that was submitted through the WellSense assessment. So what are the financial priorities for this employee? How old is this employee? Do they have dependents? What's their household personal income? You can also look at their actual assessment. to see, okay, hey, what were their responses in the personal finance category? What were their responses in the protection planning category? So again, all of this information is at your fingertips, ready to go before the meeting even starts, so that when you're logging in to meet one-on-one with an employee, you can give them, again, customizable and prescriptive action items to help them improve their financial wellness picture. So you see here, WellSense can automate a large part of the employee one-on-one meeting process. But for the advisors, the real value for your firm, for your practice, is going to be what comes through the WellSense employer reporting. This is really where you're going to be able to take financial wellness and turn it into a value add for your service model. And so just like through RPAG, how you can create an investment review, fee analysis report, plan design analysis reports. If you're subscribed to WellSense, you can also create a WellSense report for your employers. And so essentially what this allows you to do is, let's say for client ABC, you've had 50 employees take the WellSense survey. What you can do is take those 50 individual assessments and aggregate those on an employer level to show an employer different insights and to quantify the success of your financial wellness rollout. So it's a professional, clean-looking report that shows not only things like how many employees that your firm met with, what the average scores were for those employees, what the most common action steps were that you assigned. There's tons of more granular insights that you can provide, like here, this is a snapshot of one of the modules where you can show the employer what the top financial priorities for the employees that took the WellSense survey were. So this is a great way for you as an advisor to position yourself not just as a retirement investment consultant, but as a more comprehensive employee benefits consultant. I've talked to tons of advisors who have been able to identify issues with, student loan repayments or, things with the retirement plan. Hey, maybe the participation rate is low. Well, that's interesting because the number one employee financial priority was retirement income. Okay, well, maybe we need to do a better job of sitting down one-on-one with these employees when it's time for them to enroll in the plan, ensuring that they do so. So there's a number of different insights that you can show through the WellSense reporting, things even more granular, like here was the top financial priorities based on these different household income tiers. So you can see what's important to your employees that make, 25 to 50 grand, in contrast, what's important to your employees that make 75 to 100 grand. Again, all of this reporting is customizable. So you can create a WellSense report that's 50 pages long. You can create a WellSense report that's 5 pages long. It's up to you what you want this report to look like. And then lastly here, with the reporting, you can also show change over time. So WellSense has been around for a couple years now, and we've already seen some advisors going in for their second annual or third annual WellSense rollout. And what this reporting allows the advisor to do is, we'll pick on this emergency savings section. The advisor can create this report and say, hey, when I first met with your employees in 2019, only 24% of them indicated that they had an emergency savings account. I came back in 2022, a few years later, and now 68% have emergency savings accounts. So it's these kinds of insights that you can provide to an employer to really show your value and show exactly what you're doing in terms of financial wellness. Again, the whole point of WellSense is trying to move away from that concept of the check the box financial wellness program to more of a proactive, more involved financial wellness program from you as the advisor. And then lastly, again, just to look at, another module that can be included, you can show changes in responses to questions over time. So again, going back to that point, that WellSense is not just a one-time rollout. It's something that you can roll out annually for your employers and the employees of those plans. So just in summary here, just to kind of wrap things up with a nice bow, the first thing I wanted to kind of drive home is kind of what is WellSense, right? So WellSense is an end-to-end financial wellness solution that's going to include marketing materials, wellness assessments, calendaring functionality, action planning, group session content, participant surveys, and then most importantly, employer reporting. So I'm a big, concise and succinct guy. So if you're looking for kind of a one-sentence overview of what WellSense is, that's a pretty good overview there. Really what we created WellSense to do is to inspire employees to take the first couple steps in developing financial confidence and improving their financial wellness. And we believe that you as advisors are the key to doing that. So WellSense is intended to remove barriers that prohibit employees from getting access to financial advice. So WellSense allows you not only to provide content to these employees, but also meet with them efficiently one-on-one. And then lastly here, why should we care? Why does WellSense matter? A couple of things that I touched on. Employees struggle with financial priorities, and it ends up creating stress that negatively impacts the bottom line for employees. Most employees don't have the resources to get any sort of professional financial advice. And lastly, from the advisor's perspective, if you're meeting one-on-one with employees, that's going to make a more loyal, happy, and productive workforce, which is in turn going to make your clients more happy, your plan sponsor clients happier, and that's going to provide more value for your service model. So again, WellSense is going to be your end-to-end financial wellness platform that's perfect for all different shapes and sizes of plans. So again, if you haven't had a demo of WellSense, please feel free to reach out to me. All my contact information is going to be in the signature of my email. But I wanted to stop here for any questions that anyone in the audience has here. Looks like we have a couple already here, so I'll give some folks a chance to submit their questions. How is the pricing for WellSense structured? It's a great question. So one of the other benefits of WellSense is the fact that the fees that are paid to utilize the WellSense program are a flat quarterly fee. So we at RPAG charge you as the advisor a small quarterly fee to utilize WellSense across your whole book of business. And so really what it is, it's a cost-effective way for you to roll out financial wellness with multiple employers. So, the average advisor for WellSense pays, anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 a year to use the whole platform for their whole book of business. So in comparison with other models, especially ones that utilize a per head fee, per participant fee, WellSense is much more cost effective and allows you to provide a solution that does not become prohibitively expensive for either the employees of your plan or the employers. Is there any other participant education material on RPAG, even for those who don't subscribe to WellSense? Yeah, there is. So if you're looking for participant education material, I mentioned a lot of stuff within WellSense that's available, but we also have some other things that are outside of WellSense that you can utilize. So that's all going to be found in the RPAG Resource Center. There's a participant services category within that resource center that has one-pagers and presentations that you can utilize. And also, if you're not aware, we here at RPAG put out a monthly participant-facing memo that you can use to send out to participants of your plan. So if you do any sort of drip email campaigns or things like that, those materials would be helpful for you as well. Oh, and looks like we have one more question here. Does WellSense have to be turned on for all clients, or can it be turned on and off client by client? The latter. It can be turned on and off for client by client. So you can have WellSense enabled for 10 of your 50 clients. You can choose which clients you want to roll WellSense out with. So we really give you all the customization tools necessary to roll WellSense out with the clients of yours that it's going to fit the best with. So by subscribing to WellSense, you're not signing up to do one-on-one meetings with every single participant of every single plan that you have. It's more at your discretion who you want to roll WellSense out with. All right, looks like that was all the questions that I saw in the chat and the Q&A here. So again, folks, I want to thank you for your time today. I know a lot of you folks here have real busy schedules, so I appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day to join us. Like I said, I'm going to be sending out the slides here in the back of the slides. You'll see links to both the Bloomberg article I referenced, as well as the T. Rowe Price study as well. So if you're interested in checking those out, look at slide 36 of 37. And then lastly, please feel free to join us next week for our next installment in the RPAG Summer Camp Series, the obstacle course, where our longtime friend, Michael Viljak, who's the manager in our consultant development department, is going to talk about how to deploy and utilize the fiduciary fitness program, which is our signature fiduciary governance deliverable. So if you haven't taken a look at the fiduciary fitness program, next week is going to be a must attend for you, because it's a huge differentiator for advisors that use RPAG in comparison to those who don't. So join us next week for Michael's session. And then lastly, folks, the national conference for RPAG is coming up very, very soon in September. We're so excited here at RPAG to see a ton of you here in Dana Point. If you haven't had a chance to register for the conference, please do so. In the bottom of my email that I'll be sending out to all the attendees, there will be a link that you can click on to register for the event. So we really look forward to seeing you out here in September. And if you have any questions, like I said, please feel free to reach out to me directly. Thanks again for your time, folks, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day.